Try it now.
Delaney, I think I fixed it.
Oh, thank you. Can you hear me?
For some reason, I think the settings got changed.
Okay.
I have no idea how that happened, but yeah.
Awesome. And then I see somebody's calling in too.
Sorry, I'm calling in. Is there a password for like video Zoom? It was prompting me for a password that I never received.
So we might have had a settings mix up. I apologize for that. If you try again, it should work now, but please let us know if it continues to not work.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Did you say that did someone just say it's continuing to not work?
Yeah.
Continuing to ask for a password.
Okay. Delaney, on my end of things, I went into settings and I changed it so it says do not require a passcode, but that's kind of all I've got in terms of troubleshooting.
Delaney, I just took a gamble and tried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it let me right in. So should we post that on the Facebook page or?
Yeah, can you do that?
Yeah.
I don't know why it's asking for one.
Hello?
Hello? Try the passcode 12345. Can't seem to get it off the. There we go. All right, I try to take the passcode off too.
Jeez. Everything is glitching right now. Facebook won't let us.
Oh wait, people are joining.
Okay.
I think it's working. Hello, hello, hello. And let's get some people. Hey guys.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hold
Has Jennifer
on.
joined us yet?
Um,
Jennifer's the ED of NAMI. I'm the president of the board of NAMI, so I thought I'd stop by and say hello.
I
I went
didn't
to
know.
a lot of you guys' meetings when they were in person, and then with COVID, it's been crazy. I also own a small business in the Whitaker, so I'm down there quite often. So
All right. Still letting some people in.
Were you expecting more people? I had some trouble zooming in. I used the link on the Facebook page and it wanted me to put in a passcode. And I wasn't able to do that. And then it turned out there were two links on the Facebook page. So I used the second one. Here I am.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
apologize for that, Jane. There's been some technology stuff happening, even this late in Zoom online time. It just seems there's always something new. So sorry for that bumpiness, and we're glad that you're here now.
We'll just give a few more minutes because we're waiting for a couple more people.
Lydia, can you hear me?
I can.
So I need to know, how come you don't publish the passcode so that general members can join?
If at the beginning, we just had technical issues, so it was just the wrong one. People are starting to come on in.
So there is no passcode?
There is no passcode.
What? What? Hello?
Hello, can you hear us, Jen?
Start recording.
And then
What's going on?
we're just having a few technical issues, that's all.
I see. Okay, so I'm not. Well, there you are. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Oh,
And just waiting for Andrew because he's going to be helping us run the meeting here.
I just texted him.
well, so how is everybody?
Pretty good.
Oh,
I'm so happy Oak Ridge didn't burn down.
I'm so happy the butte didn't burn down.
oh,
Hmm.
mm. Mm.
Delenia, Andrew just said that he's not going to be able to make it tonight.
Oh, yeah.
All righty. So everybody, welcome to the Whitaker Community Council meeting, the general meeting for September. I'm Delenia Cardona, your chair, and just a couple instructions. If you want to speak, you can raise your regular hand or your virtual hand, or your if you're on a telephone, you can also just say your name. Please make sure you keep yourself muted until it's your turn to talk. Today, we are going to be having public comments, and then Anand will be introducing the executive director from NAMI, and then also the executive director from Laurel Hill will be speaking, and then Scott Morrison from Cash Dash, and then we're going to finish off with Doriandra, the program manager for our WCAT and our confidence vaccines. Right now, if you want to be put in the queue, because we're running a little bit late behind, it's going to be Jason. And then it'll be Dennis right after. Go ahead, Jason.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Vanderhaar, and I just was wanting to show up because so Kevin Cronin and if you don't know who Kevin Cronin is, he's worked for like the Lane's Central Labor Chapter, Senator Manning, and the Oregon Democratic Party, and a few other things like that. He and I started brainstorming and have already gotten the ball rolling on trying to use the Eugene Tenant Alliance to host a Ward 7 candidate forum and straw poll. Like, technically speaking, like, obviously this isn't like official or binding by any means. I just really want to be upfront about that. But it's kind of in an attempt where, so if you don't know, like 99.99% certain Claire lost her recall. There is, like, yes, a court case, but I mean, who knows how that goes. And this is largely an attempt to just gather people together from all of Ward 7 to like any candidates who are interested in putting themselves forward can contact the Eugene Tenant Alliance to get on the queue and just get people a chance to have some form of voice in city council choosing Claire Surratt's replacement, rather than just letting city council like decide on their own without any input from like a large constituency of their citizens. So that said, basically the idea is that it would be a town hall style community forum being hosted by the Eugene Tenant Alliance with moderators, including myself, Misty Frost from the River Road neighborhood, and Tara Garco from the Whitaker, with the Spent the Rent podcast there to turn this whole thing into an episode of the podcast, but also record it for posterity's sake. We also have the Eugene Weekly and Lane Central Labor Chapter and Springfield Eugene Tenant Alliance on board already as sponsors. And we were hoping to ask the WCC, and we're also asking the River Road Community Organization to come on board as sponsors, just to get the widest possible like collection of voters from Ward 7 represented there. And I'm obviously happy to answer any questions that are actually related to this.
Does anybody have any questions? Jen?
Yes, thank you for being here, Jason. Can you slow down and explain a little bit about those who are showing an interest that you're, speaking about?
So far, we I'm not aware of any particular people who have expressed interest in being put forward as a replacement city councilor, like at least seriously beyond like maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't type thing. But basically, we're going to, like, in the next week or so, start trying to like advertise as much as possible, reach out to people who might be interested, get them on board, so that then at this town hall style meeting, people could try to vet them themselves and decide whether that's somebody that they'd like to have represent them on council. So
when would that town hall meeting?
Yes, that's very obvious information that I totally breezed past. So we've already booked Alluvium on October 12th between 6 and 8 p.m. For this. and we will be able to broadcast it live as well as it being recorded.
When you say broadcast it, do you mean, are you going to use the Zoom platform?
That's not my specific area. I believe yes, but it could also be YouTube. I'm not 100 on that. Like I said, this is very early stages on like nailing down this stuff, like those kinds of details in terms of the technical aspect.
Okay, thank you. Mm,
All right, and then next in the speaking queue, it's going to be the public first then. So the next in the speaking queue is going to be Jane. Board members go last. Go ahead, Jane.
I'm sorry, I was reading the chat and I missed when this meeting is. Was that October 8th?
October 12th.
October 12th, thank you. But really what I want to talk about was the street murals. I've been riding around looking at the street murals. My goodness, they are so lovely. And I'm just wondering if I've seen them all. Is there some place where I can get a list of where they all are? The
Dorian?
ones in the street, the ones.
Sure, Jane, I'll be speaking about them later and I'll have a
Okay.
list for you all at the end
Thank you
of.
so much.
Sure.
Kelly, you're up.
Thank you. So I'm joining, this is my first Whitaker Community Council meeting, and I'm joining from the Center for Dialogue and Resolution. I'm a program coordinator there, and I focus on a restorative justice program that specifically works with adults. So I'm just coming on here, letting you all know that we're offering a training at the end of October. It's October 27th through the 29th. I will, if it's possible, I'll put my email in the chat. Is it possible to do that? Or I can
Hold
send
on
it.
1 second.
Okay. And so, you know, I'm sure some of you here are more familiar or are a little bit familiar with restorative justice in terms of a movement to respond to crime and other harms in a constructive way. I've been thinking of it lately just in a way of how a community addresses harms without creating further harm. And so this process is really survivor focused, sometimes bringing victims and offenders together. So this training that we're offering is just really a chance to include the community in these dialogues. And I thought that this would be a good place to share that news. Am I able to open it up to quick questions in case anyone has those right now?
Would you be able to also email me at the Whitaker Community Council at gmail.com?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I would also include the link on how to sign up for the training, but it's also, for some reason, just like everything tonight is not, that link isn't working. It has been working all day, but right now it isn't. So let's see. I think I included everything. Any other questions about that? I guess one last thing I'll say is that training is really about, is also about practice. So, you know, there will be information, of course, but it's also going to be really working with each other and having role plays and experiencing like what a dialogue would actually look like. And so that will be the most, you know, that's what it will look like for most of the weekend.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
And then Travis, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't agree with the chat. The chat's always been open before in prior meetings, so that's new. I do want to make it known that the recall, people against Claire Surratt's occupation of our city council are not Trumpers. They're not right-wing fanatics. They're not against public transport. That I don't fit in any of those boxes. I've never voted right-wing in my life. And I think that it's up to the Whitaker Community Council to understand that a lot of the constituents that represent the Whitaker neighborhood and the rest of Ward 7 do not fall into that little box that a lot of these advocates for Claire are trying to put us into. And the numbers speak for themselves. We've got a massive turnout. That's there's no arguing that. So, you know, you can try, people can try to argue that, but the reality is there are a lot of people in this ward that are not happy with her as a counselor, do not feel like she's represented us accurately. I've got emails for days that I could point to that are shameful, not from my end. Beyond that, I would like to say something about the Whitaker community page. I'm glad to hear that the Whitaker Council has disassociated themselves from that page. It's being run by a person who identifies as a communist and acts like a communist. I got booted out of there for quote spam.
Okay,
which
so
all I was
that's
doing
not,
was
we're not going to talk about that because it is discontinued from us. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our guests who are here to speak. Anon, did you want to go ahead?
Delenia, actually, Den was last in the speaking queue, if we are still going by that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, two things. Yeah, Jason is creating a problem on the open page, and yes, it is a subject that
Again, the open page is not a subject that we're going to talk about here. We have guests that are here. If you have something that has to do with the Whitaker Community Council, you can go ahead and talk about the Whitaker Community Council, but I honestly want to move on to our guests. Thank you. Go ahead, Anon.
Okay, so I'm afraid our first guest isn't going to be able to be here tonight because she let me know just a little bit ago that her son had been injured and she has to take care of that. But she's very interested in being
Excuse me, I was cut off.
Yes, Dennis, you were. Go ahead.
All right, listen, Delenia,
Go ahead, Anon.
you can't just cut me off.
Actually, I can. I'm telling you that we need to move on.
You
And
don't
please
have a
respect
quorum.
the rules.
I'm telling you, you don't have a quorum. And you don't, Ms. Delenia, you don't have a, you can't do business tonight. You can't call a meeting. You don't have a quorum.
quit your censorship.
Thank you. Go ahead, Anon.
Anyway, so I was going to say the other person that we invited was Sean Murphy, the executive director of Laurel Hill. I don't know if he's made it here yet. He was told that his spot was going to be at 7:45. Now, I do have something else for you if you're interested. You had previously asked if I might say something about the housing grant, and I am prepared to say something about that if you want me to kind of make up for that time that our guest was not available. But
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is actually mostly from Doriandra because she set out this outline. So Doriandra, if I get anything wrong, please do let me know. So she was saying that part of the goal is to have partnerships with CBOs, such as Laurel Hill Center, Whitebird, Oregon Center for Law, Equitable Social Solutions, the Eugene Mission, and TBD. I'm not sure I know what that one is. WCC contractors needed Doriandra for the program management, Sarah Grace for the social media and graphic art design. She sets out 5 major goals: reducing housing accessibility barriers that folks encounter while trying to get into housing by the following services. A, hosting of in-person clinics held at the Eugene Mission to help Whitaker households access WCC resources made possible through the Oregon Emergency Rental Assistance Program, such as ID recovery to help obtain identification documents, dispute resolution between landlords and tenants, eviction diversion services through connecting folks with Oregon Law Center. B, provide new rental deposits, including pet deposits, excluding monthly rent charges for pets. C, provision of landlord incentive payments to improve likelihood of finding housing and expanding the housing pool for households facing barriers to housing, such as households with criminal backgrounds, poor credit, debt, or poor rental history. And such as signing bonuses equal to 1 month's rent, security deposits equal to 2 months' rent, payment of rental of moving vans or hiring movers within reasonable limits, payment of storage units needed during the relocation of the household, purchase of basic housing, home furnishings necessary for housing stability, and payment of cleaning services and other related costs to help a household maintain housing due to unsafe and unhealthy living conditions or other factors that may impact housing stability. And those are all things that are listed in the grant as things that we could do, but they're things that Doriandra in particular feels, and I agree with her, those are things that we as an organization could focus on with the money that's allotted for that. That seems pretty broad, and it's going to take a while to fulfill all that, but I think it's a good set of goals to aim for. Doriandra, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
Sure, Don. Thank you. Yeah, I think that you covered everything in the broad scope of things, but it's good to know that, you know, as we dive into it, we may find other co-location of services that we can do. Someone mentioned to me the other day about a mutual aid group that's working on connecting dots. So, you know, with building a database that connects other resources to people and us, I think we'll along the way develop many more side shoots. But yeah, you addressed the main parts. So thanks.
Thank you. Well, I'm looking forward to that. And I hope you have a good trip.
Thank you.
And while we're still kind of on this subject, Anon, I will shoot the email to everybody on the board, but I believe it was OHA that wants to give us another $25,000
That's what I
to
heard.
help with the housing. We're
Yeah.
gonna have to vote on it pretty much quickly next week because
Good.
we'll have to get, you know,
Sure.
cooking
Yeah,
on it.
yeah.
That's
Thank
going to
you.
be a great strengthener because the onus of that grant is really to build partners with other CBOs. And so we'll be able to get the much needed services from folks to strengthen our own goals. So cool.
That'll be great. Yeah.
Daniel or Travis, did either one of you guys have a question?
I was just going to say that I'm the president of NAMI, and I can speak on Jennifer's behalf. If
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
just tossing it out there.
Well, yeah. She said that the board
Yeah.
president, but she didn't give me a name, so
Yeah.
I didn't know who it was. I was hoping that you'd show up. Oh, excellent. Thank you.
So, I mean, I don't know. Do you want to take Travis first, and before, or it doesn't matter to me. However you want to do it.
Travis, did you have a question?
So, mental health is improving to a certain degree in Lane County since we really have taken a more aggressive stance in being more proactive and being in the community. There are a number of different programs I thought I would kind of go over. It's an odd topic because when you focus your volunteer life in mental health, you deal in subjects that are usually very depressing and so as a result, some of this could be triggering. So if those are issues for you, let me know, or maybe mute myself so I'm not gonna harm anyone. The first is suicide. So the suicide rate in Lane County is 4 times greater than 84% of the counties in the country. If you live in Junction City, Florence, or Cottage Grove, the rate is almost double that. It is remarkable the sheer number of folks who choose to take their life and die by suicide here in Lane County. That number was what it was going into the pandemic, and we weren't seeing any real signs or any hope for it to subside. Then something happened called the hero effect. The hero effect is something that has only happened twice since we've been keeping records. It is a very rare thing to occur, but it essentially has to happen when everyone feels united towards one simple cause. And there is a communal effect that helps bolster people's emotions and the feeling of community around one central theme. And it happened around 9/11 and it happened after Pearl Harbor. And now it's happened during COVID, where the suicide rate actually dropped. Here in Lane County, the Suicide Prevention Coalition, which is something I also chair, held trainings in our community. We trained over 900 folks on suicide prevention. We focused on folks who traditionally would not get training or get talked to. For example, bank tellers, baristas, bartenders, taxi cab drivers, foremen on construction sites. We focus on bank tellers because primarily business bank tellers, because we wanted to know if small business owners who have a good relationship with a teller were coming in and acting in a way that might be indicative of a decision to do something harmful to themselves. The effects here in Lane County have been rather dramatic. And I think that it goes to show that when you are connected with folks who pay attention to people's lives, and we reach out and talk to our family members and our friends, that there is that human element that does impact people's lives in a way that can save a life. And so that is, the high five moment of the past 2 years, if I can even have one. The other thing that we've been working on unofficially from NAMI, but from some of the same volunteers, is a program called TIP. TIP is the gold standard of mental health programs. If you wanted a program that you could take off the shelf, dust off, implement with fairly no lead up to it, that requires very little money and has a high impact, it's a straight ballot Hall of Fame program. It's in 230 some odd communities around the country. It requires very little money to operate. The nearest one is up in Portland, but it's called Trauma Informed Program. And what it does is, if you imagine Cahoots is a program for before an incident might occur, this is after. So I'll give you the scenario. You get off tonight's Zoom call, and you get a knock at the door by a death investigator, the police department, a first responder, or a phone call from the hospital letting you know that a loved one has been in an accident and has died. It is the worst moment you'll ever have in your life, most likely. It is horribly traumatic. I've gone through it. And the people who tend to do those notifications, it ends up being very clinical, sterile, and create something called second trauma. You're left with no real North Star on how to navigate the rest part of your life. And so what TIP does is it works directly with 911 and first responders to be dispatched out to the scene of the incident, the accident, the crime scene, to learn from the first responders or the police on what has happened as best they can. And then when it's time to go make a notification to the family, they go with them. And so when you get that knock at the door, you'll get the procedural what ifs and also the who, what, where, or why. But that person will sit and stay with you and help guide you through the next hour, day, week, month of your life. There is no Death for Dummies handbook, and they essentially provide that. It is a tremendously powerful group of volunteers, and it is primarily run by volunteers. It'll be one FTE. It'll cost about $40,000 for the entire county for the year. The national tip program has been so happy with the response they've gotten in Lane County that they're willing to pay for the rest of the first year, provided that the county and everyone in it, all the different agencies agreed to it. So we have essentially gotten that green light. We're in the process of launching it. We should be able to launch it almost imminently. So there will never be another phone call that will happen in Lane County from a loved one that comes in the way that I received it. My best friend of almost 20 years committed suicide by cop. He was killed by an officer-involved shooting, July 12, 2018. I had to clean up the crime scene. I had to call his parents. I had to call his kids. There's a level of trauma there will never go away. I could rattle off stories upon stories of worse stories than that I have known, and to know that that will never happen again to anybody else is a pretty large achievement. As far as NAMI goes, we have our new building, which has been through a grant that we were wonderful to graciously thanking the city of Springfield for giving us. We were on the verge of losing our home during the beginning of 2020, and kind of did a Hail Mary pass and got a great grant that will take care of our building. So we are over in Springfield now. So you're welcome to come by. It's a wonderful chance to have in-person meetings and to have a chance to get to know your community as well. As a board, which I'm just now seeing Sean come on. Hi, Sean. We just met just a couple weeks ago, and one of the goals that we have set as an organization is to become much more public than we have been. And that has only been because we have now the resources to be able to do it. We don't, I'll give you an example. In Clackamas County, Clackamas receives or gives rather about $1 million to its county NAMI. Here in Lane County, we receive a whopping $0 from Lane County. And that is because the county we asked to receive certain information about who we assist and help, and we are unwilling to meet that requirement for confidentiality reasons. And so there just has been kind of an impasse on breaking through that, which has always been a goal of mine to kind of overcome. But in the meantime, we've had to rely on private donations and building an endowment, which is now one of the largest in the state, to kind of shepherd us through this. And so our board met and decided that in keeping with kind of our goal of being more outward and forward, we're going to be adding some additional staff members and staff time so that as issues come up in the community, NAMI is the first thing that people think of, so that it continues to be a resource for folks, not just who are suffering from mental illness, but also for family members wishing to seek information about it, to dismantle stigma around it, and to broaden the conversation about the ways in which we can incorporate self-help and mental health into our daily lives, much like you would for any other aspect of our mental health or of our healthcare, which we drastically need. As we learn, and I'll wrap up because I know that Sean's time is about to start. We've never received proof of this theory like we did with suicide prevention in Lane County and around the country during COVID. The act of the human touch, the human element does work, and we have verifiable proof of it. So we will be much more present. So I hope I can come back, and I'm happy to chat with you all offline or more. I own a business in the Whitaker neighborhood. I'm down here all the time. So happy to assist or to help guide as much as I possibly can, and be looking for updates on TIP as the information kind of comes out. And if you want more information on TIP, Eugene Weekly did an entire cover story on it a few weeks ago. So just type in trauma informed program or my name into Eugene Weekly, and you'll see a really wonderful article that couldn't have been better written if I had written it. So thank you very much. I appreciate all of you.
Thank you. I think Jen
Thank you.
has a question.
Yeah.
thank you for coming and speaking to us, because this is a very challenging situation with us in particular in Whitaker. This is off the cuff, but I'm wondering, because I had an experience just recently, literally. I am finding that people who go in and they're in a very bad state, and they may pass away, accordingly, for whatever reasons. I am finding that hospitals are claiming that they have COVID, before they went in. And I'm wondering if you have experienced this kind of treatment where the person was got into a facility to get help, has had COVID or has COVID, and suddenly they are claimed to have COVID when they go into a facility. It's a strange question, but it's a real question. And
I don't. What I would say is I've had a number of folks. There was a hit and run fatality downtown who happened to be one of my employees, Laura Whalen. This was about a year ago. And because of COVID, this is part of the impetus for TIP was, her daughter, she was on her way to go see her granddaughter for the second time. Her daughter was also an employee of mine and never made it. And she got the call from the hospital, and it was about a 45-second call. And it was simply, your mom has been killed in an accident. I'm terribly sorry. And due to storage concerns, can you please arrange to have your mother's body moved by the end of the week? And that was it. She called in a state I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And so it's calls like that I get the pressures that everyone is under, especially with COVID, and how my whole family's in the medical field about how traumatic it is for them. But we could do better. And I think that TIP will do that. So I don't have a direct answer to your question, Jennifer. It's not something that I volunteer in or specialize in. But that's the information I have in terms of trying to alleviate some levels of trauma that people have.
Thank you. And then
do you see that there's going to be any kind of change to helping those who are in the situation that you're speaking about? My mother was mentally ill, and she died mentally ill. And it's a very personal, because there's nothing as a person living here that I can do to help those who are mentally ill and struggling and on their own. And I just feel so helpless. And it's the same thing over and over again. So do you see that the work that you're doing is being addressed and changed?
Well, it's a big ship and it moves slow and it turns slow. But I would say that in the time that I've been volunteering, I've noticed a fairly significant change in how not just how often people talk about it, but the way that they talk about it. And honestly, the way it changes is by having conversations like this. There's so much stigma around it that people feel like they need to suffer in silence. And that is frankly a killer for lack of a better word. The more we talk about it, the more we introduce it, the more folks who we see every day in a public role talk about their own experiences with it, the easier this gets. And so I think that having conversations like this is one step along in the process.
Do you have anything positive to say it's a success?
The TIP program is huge. It would be the first newly launched mental health program in Lane County in 22 years. We have a new HHS head at Lane County that is aggressive in willing to kind of tackle this on. We have the new respite center that will be launching soon. And that is, phenomenal. That gives people a place to go. I mean, there's only so much that a local county can do. I mean, this is a national problem. This is a problem that's been ignored for 30 years. It's not going to be changed by anything that Lane County necessarily does on itself. But the sooner that we can talk about what I call the invisible asylum, between the shipping people between the street, the jail, and the ER, and moving folks around in the hopes that we can just ignore them and hope that it goes away, into a situation where we talk about there's nothing wrong with mental health, and talking about your own mental health and people who have extreme mental health issues in the same sentence without stigma attached. That's how we move this forward. But if I set the bar at success being these giant monumental changes, then I would be pretty upset where things are at. But I set the bar lower at what can we get done at a local level? What do we have the ability within our power to do with our own elected officials, with our budget? And I think on that level, I think that we have a pretty good A team on the job, scoring some pretty decent points. And I'm pretty damn proud of what they've done and what we still have out there to do. But I appreciate your question, Jennifer. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. And then Anand, I think it's back to you.
All righty. Thank you, Delaney, and thank you very much, Daniel. And I'm looking forward to seeing you back again and seeing you around the neighborhood. It's so important what you and your fellow people there do. So next up we have Sean Murphy, the Executive Director of Laurel Hill, who has been so kind as to come and tell us what the programs are over at Laurel Hill, how people can get involved with them, and other things that people can do to protect their mental health and those of those around them. So, Sean.
All right. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for inviting me to come tonight. Secondly, I'm going to tell you that I'm transitioning between my phone and the computer. So there will be a moment where I will switch off. But my name is Sean Murphy, and I am the Executive Director of Laurel Hill Center. Laurel Hill Center has been serving folks in Eugene and Springfield metro area for around 50 years. We primarily focus on working with folks who have a serious mental health struggles that interfere with their ability to conduct day-to-day tasks. So a lot of the people that we serve have either had acute psychiatric hospitalizations or state hospitalization stay, or involvement with law enforcement due to their mental health issues. So Laurel Hill Center, we are an outpatient program, although a lot of folks think that we're residential. And so all of our services are voluntary. And we have a philosophy and the belief that mental health recovery is possible for everyone. And when we say that, we basically say that mental health recovery is about helping people live the life that they want to live. So if they want to work, how can we help them acquire the skills and the resources so they can work? If they want to have a house or be a parent or whatever that is, that people identify what their own mental health recovery looks like. And that doesn't necessarily mean that people are symptom free. And that they no longer struggle with mental health symptoms, but that recovery is that the symptoms are manageable and that you can have a full life, even though you still have to manage symptoms of mental illness, the same way that we would if we had diabetes or any other health condition. It doesn't go away, but you develop lifestyle changes or medications or whatever is that fit for you, and you manage it and you go on and you live a happy and fulfilling life. And that's the philosophy that we take with working with folks. So at Laurel Hill Center, our focus is on improving quality of life, and the belief that if we can improve people's quality of life, and give a sense of accomplishment and something to look forward to in their life, that is one of the best ways to help ameliorate symptoms and the impact of mental illness. And so the services that we provide focus on that. We do have traditional mental health services such as counseling and medications and things like that, but we also have employment services where we help people get jobs in the community. We now have a supported education program, and so for folks who want to go back to get their GED or maybe get a certificate, we've got folks working on their PhD. We provide the supports and connect them to the resources at the university level in order to help them accomplish that goal. In addition to that, we also have a drop-in center that is staffed by consumers. And consumers, if you don't know, are individuals who are in their own mental health recovery who have decided that they feel the best way that they can give back is to support others as they go through their journey. And in that, we have classes from coping skills and educational and vocational classes to just having a place where people can come and sit down and have a talk with somebody. And then in addition to that, the bulk of the work that we have has to do with case management and skills training. So all of our staff are required to go out in the community to provide services because we believe it's very difficult to sit in the office and talk to somebody and then to take that information and take it home and try to apply it in the community or somewhere else. And that the best way to help people to learn is to actually be in the environment where they're supposed to use those skills and support them to use those skills in the environment. And so our staff are all expected to spend between 50 and 65% of their time actually out in the community supporting those that we serve. And then finally, our biggest piece is probably our housing services. So, and probably the majority of folks come to Laurel Hill Center because they're looking for support with housing. And so we have a multitude of resources around housing. Unfortunately, we do not have enough. Feels like I can't buy complexes fast enough. And I buy a complex or I get another grant and I think, okay, this is going to be great. And then I check my percentages at the end of the year and it's like, I haven't moved the bullet once. So, but I'm going to keep on trying. We own and manage 6 apartment complexes throughout Eugene and Springfield, of which one is in the Whitaker neighborhood. And we actually bought that property because our participants said, we feel comfortable in the Whitaker neighborhood and the Whitaker neighborhood is acceptable, they are accepting and supportive of us. So why don't you buy a property there? And we did. And then we have, like I said, 5 other properties throughout Eugene and Springfield. And we buy those properties to support the individuals who are struggling the most with maintaining housing. We do sometimes on some of the complexes, there are staff on site to provide support. But we try to support them to learn the skills to be able to transition out of our housing and actually move into community housing, because that is our goal, is that, we have it there when they need it, but that our role is to teach them the skills and give them the support so that they can go out and be neighbors with everybody else in the community. And if they need to come back later, because I know mental health recovery, it is cyclical. So you're doing well for a while, but you never know, something might happen that we're going to be there for them to come back and the housing will be available. So between our housing resources, properties that we own, and contracts with the state and with the county for Section 8, we serve about 200 folks a year in a program where we help them get housing, and then we provide the wraparound mental health services for them to maintain that housing. So for eligibility, folks have to be 18. We only serve adults. And they have to have Oregon health plan, so Medicaid with Trillium, Pacific Source, or Open Card. And then we have a few contracts with the county where they will provide financial support for folks who are underinsured or who have Medicare, which Medicare doesn't cover the wraparound services that we provide. And so that is the eligibility requirement. People can be referred by a provider, or they can self-refer. They can go to our website. It's www.laurel.org. And they fill out an application, and then we'll have a screener call them within 7 days to start talking about our services and what they're interested in and get them started. And then depending on what programs they're interested in, some of them have a tiny wait list. Housing definitely has a wait list, and I'm not even going to say that that's tiny, because it is not tiny. But then we will get started with folks. And then the services, people choose their own services. So if they're only interested in employment, they'll have a case manager that's there and available if issues come up, like benefits management, but they go to the employment specialist, and that's their primary contact. So, you know, we feel like if we meet people where they are and really focus on what they're interested in and what they want to accomplish, that is the best way to support folks on their recovery.
Looks like
So-
Delinia's got a question for you.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
okay.
go ahead. Oh, yeah, that's fine.
So I go down to the park because Chaplain Wayne, he does pretty much a street feed for people who need services. A lot of them are, you know, just elderly, or, you know, the houseless here. I guess my question is, when somebody is houseless and they don't have IDs and they don't have Medicaid, Medicare, anything like that, is there a way that you guys refer them out to that, or can hook up people with services if they come to you and they don't qualify?
Yeah, so if somebody comes to us and they don't qualify for the services, then our staff will talk to them about resources that are available in the community that they would be eligible for.
Thank you.
So yes, so we do, I'm gonna throw a plug out there for Whitebird. So, because Whitebird has, and they've been a great partner when folks have not signed up for Medicaid and haven't gone through that process. We refer a lot of folks to Whitebird, and Whitebird will help them get through that process. And then once they have their OHP, then Whitebird will refer them back to us. But yes, if they're not eligible for our services, we will try our best to identify resources in the community that can at least get them started. And a lot of times there's that partnership where they can get them to a point where they have OHP or they have some kind of support, and then they can refer them back.
Thank you.
Any other questions from our people here? Because Sean here has just got tons of things to say. I can just tell, I can see it in your eyes. You get you get so much information back there. But you've been great explaining what the services are and stuff like that. May I ask one question? I know once upon a time, I don't know if you guys still do this. I actually learned about this when I was working over at South Lane Mental Health. They had a program, and you guys did for a little while, I don't know if you still do, where you'd actually help people who needed to take their meds regularly. You'd actually have people come out to their houses and help them take their meds until they were stabilized. Is that still something you guys do?
Yes. So depending on the level of support. We do have different levels of support within
Sure.
Laurel Hill Center. So our highest level of support, which is our assertive community treatment team,
Right.
they provide that medication support. And so the ratio of the staff to that is 1 to 8. So for every 1 staff, there's about 8 clients. They're
Right.
available 24/7, and they do the medication supports. They have a nurse, a substance abuse counselor. Yeah. So we do still do that. We do now have a partnership with a pharmacy that's in Laurel Hill Center. And
Nice.
so we work well with them. They mail the meds out. They notify us if somebody didn't come pick up their meds, so we can go and do a check with
Sure.
them. And technology's been great because now they have these wonderful little machines where have the timers on them, and we can fill the meds in, and they just pop right out, and they send us a little text message if
yeah.
somebody didn't take those meds out. So
That's great.
yeah, but we do provide those supports, and we provide skills
Fantastic.
training around that.
Yeah, that's so important because even for people that don't technically have mental health issues, even people who are just diabetic or have other chronic illnesses, taking your meds on a regular basis can really be difficult. And so, for people who have mental health issues, of course, it becomes somewhat more difficult than it does for other folks because, trying to remember things like that, and it's not something you particularly really want to be doing, but you got it anyway. So
Yes.
knowing you've got the help out there, that's a huge thing. So thank you for letting me know you guys still are. It sounded like a great program, and I'm glad you're still being able to do that.
We have, and we love to do it. And I wanted to say we also have a money management program, and so we're payee. We can do payee services and help folks with budgeting and all those things as well.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Any other questions for Sean? Don't everybody leave up at once.
In progress.
Oh, I see Sean's
Ah.
going back and forth. That's what it is.
That was fun. Delaney, are you seeing anybody else trying to
I see
ask questions?
Sean. No, I don't see any more questions.
I love the feedback. It's so cool.
Yeah. Here we go. All right. Well, thank you so much, Sean. We appreciate it. Next up is going to be Scotty Murrison from Trash Dash. He's going to explain some services that he does. Go ahead, Scotty. You're on.
Hi, I'm Scotty. Sorry, I have to use the Wi-Fi at Walmart for this. I'm one of those houseless guys that she was just talking about. So I have this proposal I want to give to you guys. Do we have time for that right here?
Say that again.
Do we have time for my proposal right here? Is that what I'm doing?
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and talk about your company, your organization, and what you're looking for, and then it'll be discussed at our board meeting.
Okay. Yeah, my company is a nonprofit. I have some co-sponsorship with the Illuvium right now, with Eli over there. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to hand out trash bags with my logo on them, and when they're returned, pretty much I'll pay for them to the houseless community or whoever wants to make a little extra money. That's pretty much the gist of it. It's not very complicated. I have a proposal laid out with what I need and what the breakdown of costs and what we will do with the money and how we will communicate with you about it. But pretty much the gist of it is handing out bags and paying for them when they return full of litter.
And just for anybody who doesn't know, Sean has, Scotty was actually the person who has been handing out the yellow bags over by the train station.
That's not me.
That wasn't you?
No, that's Department of Transportation. But you got to buy those bags, I think.
Do you have a question, Jason?
Well, so, one thing, like Delaney had mentioned your program to me before, and I had thrown a suggestion at her, and I don't know if she had thrown it your way at all. And I just wanted to mention it real quick. So when Wade Love was doing the like once a year Great Whitaker cleanup, like one of his first sponsors in the early days was Ninkasi, and they have a big program in their company that is just about doing nonprofit work and working with other nonprofits and stuff. And so I just wanted to throw out maybe hitting them up and partnering with them for a little bit more funding.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I was asking you guys about it too is that I heard there was some COVID sanitation funding still available or something. And this would come under the guise of that if I could get into that. But I've also emailed them about this multiple times. I don't know who I'm supposed to email over there at Ninkasi, because I've sent 3 emails over there so far and I haven't heard anything back.
Are you on Facebook?
I am, yeah.
All right,
and Instagram mainly.
All right, I can find you on Instagram or something, and I'll find the email address and send it to you.
All right, sounds good.
And then Jason, I can
it.
send you his information too.
All right, cool. Yeah. So is that all you need for me, Delinia? Is that
It is.
Just I mean, it's not very complicated. They've done it in San Diego a little bit during, I almost think somebody overheard me talking about it at the cafe here, because it was a Eugene Foundation that funded the San Diego Foundation that did it, and it was right around the same time I started mine. So, I did a lot of talking about it in front of people too. So, I don't know. I'm glad it's working out down there, though.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what we can do. Thank you, Scotty.
Yeah. I have a written proposal I can email to anybody that wants to read it too. So
Yeah.
I
And if you,
just didn't really know if it was a public forum thing, the whole reading it to you guys.
what we'll do is I'll send out your proposal to the rest of the board,
Okay.
and then we can go from there.
Can I send you my updated version right now?
Yes, please.
All right. Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. You have a great day. Thank you.
I appreciate it, guys, for everybody listening to me.
Thank you. And then Doriandra, did you want to talk on the finalization of?
Sure. Thanks, Delinia. Hi, folks. So I'm Doriandra. I'm the program manager for the Whitaker Community Council. And I'm super excited to report that we have wrapped up the CDC Grant Foundation process, which was to harness the arts to create more vaccine confidence in our neighborhoods. So with that grant, it's been quite a stunner. The whole project from I started about 8 months ago, and at that time our vaccine rates in the Whitaker were super low, one of the lowest in the entire Lane County at the time. And so the idea at that time almost seems preposterous. And then turning to the city and finding that there really was no program to do this was also quite daunting. But 8 months later, we've made great strides with the city of Eugene. The pilot program that was developed for the Whitaker Council will now be able to go on for other neighborhood associations. And our project went so well that the city feels really empowered about kind of expanding the process next time. So when we think about, the street closures that we saw, they were positive in conversation about maybe expanding those street closures so that next time it's more of a block party and there's more people and moving parts involved to really engender a greater sense of community, which we just saw repeatedly on every location. We saw kids coming out, and Delaney and I sat about in lawn chairs and enjoyed ourselves. It was just really an amazing community builder. I see Jen. Jen has a question. Should I keep going or?
Uh,
Okay.
Yes, Doriander, I didn't mean to interrupt. When you say street closures, can you explain that? Is that where the artists were painting?
Sure, Jen. Yeah. Each intersection had immediate traffic barriers that protected the artist in the intersection or the crosswalk that they were working in. And then there was a secondary set of road closures that would be at the adjacent four corners around it. And so, of course, if you lived close to the mural, you could come through that closure and get closer to your house, but it was closed for through traffic. And so that way we had like we had a secondary access for more protection for the artists.
I loved it. I loved it.
Cool.
I love this. That's all I could say.
Yeah.
And I can say that I have about 4 neighbors who have small children. And since the murals, I have been seeing them kind of tagging each other and, just kind of going to each other's houses. That kind of made me feel pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It was a beautiful connection. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, it was really lovely. I feel like the volunteers that came out had an incredible time. They all just kept coming back like weekend after weekend. And I know that they're excited to do more. So I've got some pictures for you, but Claire, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say, like, great work and awesome job is an understatement. And I think that the murals literally add so much color to our already colorful neighborhood. I'm lucky enough to pass 4 of them on my way to work. I do kind of cheat and bike around in a little snake-like motion to like go over them. But they're so lovely. And another thing I was going to say is I think a map was mentioned earlier. Is there a map existing? Okay,
I'll show you. Yeah.
awesome. Because I was gonna say I know a guy that makes maps.
Okay.
If there wasn't already one, it's Nathaniel. I was gonna volunteer Nathaniel to make us a map. But anyway, yeah, just stellar job.
Thank you.
It always goes to show, like, for all the hoops that we needed to jump through to get this thing off of the ground, it feels great to then see the city get really excited and want to actually ramp up this work. And I think just speaks a lot about public process, especially in the world of transportation, which I work in my day job, whereas sometimes you just have to do the thing and then people realize how great it is.
Yes.
And they want more of it. Great
point. Thank you. Yeah, that's really true. And that's a really good point when I kind of gathered some community input about where would we want these things, back 8 months ago. And so many people had really great ideas. You did, Claire, Gail, a lot of community folks were like, what about this space? I see repeated need for traffic calming here. But in the end, out of the 54 places that I, gathered up based on community want and also what would make sense, we only got 9 approved. And so that really opened up an interesting kind of story or chapter that showed how little crosswalks we have already in the Whitaker. We need more. They're important for kids, for folks on bikes, for everybody. Like, we need crosswalks. And so that really opened up a conversation with the city about why we don't have more. But in all the jumps and hoops that you had to go through to get one location approved, I feel like that maybe also is a talking point for the city in terms of getting more locations easier approved next time, because the list of things that you had to go through was just outrageous. Was it a street that EMS uses frequently? Are there public utilities under the street? Like, there were so many criteria, some of which I never even knew. But
Transportation's fun like that. There's all kinds of fun facts that you would never know until you ask. And your mention of crosswalks actually brought to mind the fact that under Oregon law, every intersection is a crosswalk. And so, you know, a lot of folks don't do that, especially folks who use cars as their main form of transportation. A lot of times people who are trying to cross at an intersection, AKA a legal crosswalk, are seen as an impediment to travel. And so I think that creating these works of art can draw more eye to like the vitality of our neighborhood, which is not cars, it's people who need to move comfortably and safely, no matter whether they're, you know, walking, rolling, on a fancy e-bike, something or other that's coming out. So yeah, just really exciting stuff.
Yeah, that's so neat. I love how much you're involved in this process. It's probably really neat to see it finally done. So yeah, so let's see what else was also the great partnership happened with the city repair folks in Portland, City Repair Project, which were kind of the godfathers of, you know, putting these murals in streets. And so I feel really great that the Whitaker Community Council now has a bridge with them, because they were really instrumental in helping us kind of push through a lot of barriers that the city had, you know, felt were prudent. Also, they were amazing in helping us when the supply chain was showing that, like, hey, we couldn't get the paint we needed and it would be a year out. And then what would we have done with the grant and so on and so forth. They came through with some really great solutions. So the paint you see now is super solid. It's well vetted, and it should last several years. And when now part of our program in the contract created with the city, we have the right to say in a couple of years when they become tired looking or dirty or whatnot, we can apply with a small application and have the space shut down again for the artist to refresh or change or whatnot. So that's a really neat fact that, like, moving forward, we have the capacity to work on them again. So I just want to show you guys a couple of pictures. May I share the screen, Delinia? Is it set to? Yeah, looks like that'll work. Okay. Can you guys see this? Yeah?
Oh,
Cool. Okay,
I
super.
want to change it to the presenting view, and I think it's just the little button that
I will. I'll do the
I
slideshow.
can't find it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right. I just wanted to take you on a quick little ride through some of these fun things. I know we've seen most of them, but it's really fun to see like what the artist imagined and what we gave to the city as a potential. This is what we want to do. And then to see how they so sweetly turned out. This is so cute. This little kid. This was one of the sites that got really hit by the vandalism issue that we had. And if you see there, you can kind of see the remnants of the vandalism to the street. But at the end of the day, it's a beautiful testament to joy and perseverance. So I love driving by those bears and walking by them. I always think about Ian's voice cracking us all up when we first did the first kind of like, you know, juried selection of these things. He's like, I'm not sure because some of these bears aren't wearing pants. But some of them are. So it became like, well, do bears wear pants or not? So anyway, that's a sweet one. Let's see, I see some hands up. Do you guys want to chat?
Yeah, could you tell us the cross streets for these,
Oh.
where these are? I really want to find out where all these are.
Of course. Thank you
Yeah.
for reminding me. Sure. This one is at Cedar and Cheshire. So it's right at Slatton Park. And I'll give you guys a list too, a written list when we're done here. But so let's see. Let's hop on through. Oh, Jen, go ahead.
I was just curious, how many total were done?
9 pieces. So we have 3 crosswalks and 6 intersections in total.
And so do you perceive that we're going to do more?
Yeah, we sure can. Now that the pilot program was approved by the city. Yeah, so I'm kind of working on the side, looking at some new art grants to see what we could do next, because it's quite a beautiful project. And I feel like there's a lot of other issues that the Whitaker folks want to talk about, so we may be able to get a grant and do a couple of murals about climate change or traffic or community caring for each other. So we have like a wide spectrum now if we can just get more funding.
So, I'd like to ask, what did you learn the most about this process?
Persistence, meaning just like all the roadblocks that happened with the city. That's a pun, I know. And of no fault of their own, but essentially it took having to come back again and again to try to sort through so many problems. So not problems, but challenges. So
Okay, thank you.
Sure, Jen. I want to keep us on track with time. So here's this was a finished artist here. This is Tamia Treesong.
I can't wait till the kids come back from school.
Yeah, they're going to be so excited to see those three, huh? Yeah, Jane, this one is at the corner of Van Buren and Clark. Okay, so let's hop on here. So this is an artist, Liza Burns. This was her mock-up for the city. And this one is at Lawrence and Clark. This is just beautiful, the colors that turned out. And there was a lot of little kids on this one that were just precious. And then somebody, I think Liza, nabbed this incredible nighttime view of it, which was just beautiful. Let's see, moving on. This was one of my favorites, Tyler Schmalz. And this also was one that had a lot of vandalism to the site, but through everybody out there scrubbing and cleaning, we were able to push through. This one is as you go into the Rose Garden. So it's the corner of Clark and Jefferson. And that's the artist, Tyler. He was just great to work with. He's painting these manhole covers like little COVID COVID particles. It's pretty cute. So then moving through here, we've got another crosswalk here. This was at Jackson and Clark. And this is an artist, Christina Schuler, that is a quilter. And so this piece had so many interesting repetitive shapes and blocking. And in the end, it was just beautiful. So many different people of community represented.
That's me right there. I asked her to put them all on one.
Oh, that's awesome. Yay. That's very cool. Then moving over to 5th and Tyler, this was Elena Sybil. And this one was one of the largest. It covered most of the ground space, and being an odd shape. This one took some time, but it turned out really beautiful. A lot of great folks.
Tyler for that one?
Say it again?
Did you say 5th and Tyler for that one?
Correct. Yeah, 5th and Tyler.
Thank you.
So then moving over, then we're going back over to the school. This is our artist that also participated in the WCC Vaccine Confidence Yard Signs project. You remember his work was really sweet with the animals. So this one is at Clark and Grand. And it just turned out fabulous. He was amenable to using the WCC public health campaign of Protected Together, the wording in this one, which was really sweet. It kind of helped push it over the line, the finish line, into being accepted by the city and also CDC. And then this was our fabulous Wade Love. This one was really sweet. The roundabout was kind of coveted place there at Clark and Adams, because of its, it's like totally sheltered and sweet. And cars will not go over it because it's inside the roundabout. So this was a great place for Wade's beautiful, really expressive work. To the left, that's our Dubcat. One of our senior folks there, Josh Sands, who was invaluable in this whole project. He was out there every weekend helping folks paint, and we were trucking water, and he was just an amazing person to be working on this project with. But there's that finished roundabout. It's
And I'm
really
not sure if
colorful.
you know, but the female artist, she actually came from Portland to come
Yeah,
help with this project. So it
she's
really touched a lot
great.
of people. Yeah.
Yeah, well said, Delinia. And I really, her work is so beautiful. I hope that we can actually have her represented soon. It's very feminist and a really beautiful voice of art there. And then, oh yeah, go ahead there, Daniel.
I was just to say, I have a drone. I actually own a drone company. I'd be happy to, if you let me know ahead of time that this is going on, before the cars get there and that kind of stuff. I'd be happy to go grab some quick shots and send them off to you. It takes 5 minutes.
Thank you so much. That would be really great.
I'll send you my my telephone number. I'll put it in the chat for anybody. You're welcome to just give me a call whenever.
Thank you so much. That's great.
Yeah,
It'll
no
be
problem.
really cool moving forward. Okay, and so yeah, this is our local fabulous Brett. This one worked out really well for him because this was on 2nd and Lawrence, which was right outside his art studio. So this one was a really easy one to produce in terms of volunteers and having the home base and things he needed. But if you go up to Skinner's Butte and ignore the fire damage now, this is pretty amazing to look down and see this exquisite portrait of Dr. Jonas Salk, who was incredible doctor, and he created the first polio vaccine. So it's a stunning piece to see from up high and down low. And we were really fortunate to have Margaret from EPD there. You can see her on the right hand side. She was a great volunteer on this piece. And
just
what
to
is,
let you know, she was
Yeah.
just going to come to, check it out. And she ended up volunteering the whole weekend.
what is her last name again, Delinia?
Marcola?
Yes.
Is it Marzada or Mazat? I feel like there's a
Yeah.
Z in there somewhere.
Lots of Z's. Yeah, that's what I remember. But yeah, she was really excellent too. And she helped kind of focus us towards good conflict resolution when we had some protesters and folks that really felt adamantly that the pieces weren't good because they were promoting vaccines. So she was a great help. We were grateful. So yeah, that was the whole scene there. And what we've got going on now is a really cool map. Claire, you mentioned a map. This isn't a lovely hand-drawn one by any means, but my intention with this now is that we'll be able to have this go on the Whitaker Community Council page, and hopefully we can overlay this into the existing artist map. But Cass from the city, who was incredible, is kind of gathering more details, and we'll put this together soon. This map will be used to promote an upcoming event that we're planning with the city and also shift community cycles. We're going to do a bike tour that leaves from a location where we have ample bikes, and we may do a co-partnership with Peace Health, Cascadia Bikes. And we're hoping to do a day fun thing with this. The date would either be October 28th or 29th, just depending on everybody's availability and what we can come up with. But yeah, we'll be really proud to present this as a community celebration, and we'll have the artists present, and we'll just get out in the streets and have a good time and just look at these. And so, yeah, stay tuned, and I'll be printing, posting, dates and flyers and some nice stuff that we can share with our community once the city and I finalize a promotional plan for the murals. So yay.
Yay.
They're beautiful, and let's make more.
Yeah, that's, does anybody have any questions? Jane? No? Okay.
Keep doing it.
I want to
Yeah.
get that map as soon as I can.
Mhm.
Thanks.
And then I know you ride your bike a lot, and
Yeah.
like she said, there's going to be a good little
Yeah.
like, tour for it. I'm excited. I'm excited to see the kids play. I have been seeing a lot of kids on my street just now using the actual street to ride their skateboards, and it's been a really lovely experience, at least on our end. Yeah. Thank you, Doriandra. I mean, I know you worked really hard on this. I don't know if you guys know how hard, but it was a lot of work, a lot of strategic planning. I've been invited to go to Portland to go check out some more street murals out there, give us ideas, which I will go, but we got our own ideas for the WIT. So, yeah. So yeah, thank you for working with Dubcat on this. And yeah, Susan and Josh were just very instrumental also in helping. I did want to give a shout out to also Going Green Eugene, who was letting us use buckets and buckets of water and all kinds of things when we first needed to clean up the murals. And yeah, it was a great experience. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
You
you.
made one of my dreams come true. You really did.
Fabulous. Yeah, it was a pleasure to do it, and grateful that the CDC entrusted WCC with that much money to make art. So yeah, I'm really excited to wrap that chapter up soon and then be moving on with Anon to begin our emergency housing project for the next part of the grant. So thank you.
Anand, did you have a question?
Yeah, actually, I just would love to see this covered in an episode of Oregon Art Beat. I think that would be a great episode for them. The combination of the street art and you know, doing the public good at the same time. And heck, they might even cover the thing with the, you know, how do you deal with protesters as a thing? Because, you know, there's going to be more of that sort of thing, and knowing how to actually deal with it properly is pretty healthy. So yeah, it's a great story. I'd love to see it on Artbeat.
Yeah, thank you, Anand. I've got some pans in the fire and emails flying around to try to really level out some higher promotion of the project. So I'll be doing that. And also just a final note, the CDC was just absolutely grateful, excited, and really proud of the work that we did. So
Yay!
yeah, I'm kind of doing some final conversations with them, and I think that they will be an advocate for us in the future. And that was great. And, you know, just doing the CDC grant was huge because it was also partly funded with the NEA. So we've got like a lot of good movement now for future art with the WCC and Dubcat. So yay.
All right, everybody, that seems like everything for today. And then I just want to thank everybody for coming out, especially our guests, even though some of you guys are gone. Daniel, thank you. I'm gonna probably text you in a few minutes so you have my phone number also. And we will see you next week. Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you, Daniel.
Of course. You're a marijuana advocate, correct?
I am.
So that's my business actually. So we have a packing company at 6th and Fillmore. And so we co-package, I don't know, 30,000 grams of shatter a week, something like that.
Oh,
for
okay,
different-
yeah.
Different companies around. We built it up from scratch, and it's been difficult. I think is a good way of putting it. But I love the WIT. I love the area. I walk. Usually, if you'll see me walking, I'm a walker and talker. So if I'm on my cell phone, I'm usually pacing. So I'm usually wandering around down in the WIT, and Ian is a really good close friend of mine, and he's come over and we go for walks and get lunch. And there's a new taco place around the corner of 6th and Fillmore, and that is just wonderful. So you should come on down.
Yeah, I'll give you a call. We'll have to chat because I think I'm gonna go to the OLCC and see how I could also work around getting people marijuana who need it for drug rehab.
Yeah,
So,
that'd be great.
yeah.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. You guys
Take
have a
care.
great night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.